What's going on? We are driving Wall Lux and Uber Black. Not yet, we're working on that. Anyway, more importantly, this is a Lyft article that is covering one, if you have not noticed, in California, maybe some other areas as well, there is a new bonus, and I will put that up on the screen. This article is explaining why partially that bonus is there, as well as the direction that Lyft is going in. I will put the links, the old link talking about EVs and switching to EVs and autonomous vehicles, as well as this new link, which you can see is December 12th. And let me pull down the bar. So that's today. This article was released at the same time that the bonus for $150 for 50 rides is released. So you're hearing it here first. So Lyft helping drivers switch to electric vehicles with new suite of partnerships offerings. A new ride challenge in California. Partnerships on charging and expanded EV rental options will make transitioning and driving an EV with Lyft easier and more lucrative. Now, I've been noticing that one of the biggest issues that I've had with Lyft in comparison to Uber when it comes to driving my Tesla is that I'm not getting discounts in charging. Now, I know I'm getting the tax incentive, 56 cents, I think it is, per mile, and that is going to do amazing things for my taxes, but my take-home pay is being affected. Even though it's a smaller amount, it's still being affected by me using charging. I go to the rapid charge I go to the Tesla rapid charging stations regularly to charge my car. I don't charge at home because they charge about double the rate, or the average high rate in California, which is 55 or more cents. And it's been made very clear when you go to apply for the chargers that this rate was set by the location of my apartment. So I don't get to charge there for that reason. Also, the charger is only a 7 kilowatt charger, which does not work for me. I need my car to be ready to go, at least to be able to charge to full overnight, and that's just not going to cut it. So I usually go to the Tesla charging stations, and I try to go after 12. If I'm in the middle of a shift and I need a charge, I'll do that still, and I'll look for a charger that has like 30 something cents instead of the higher numbers, and I avoid the more expensive chargers. But that's what I work with right now. I don't use third-party chargers because I haven't really found third-party chargers that can give me a fast charge, as well as giving me a cheaper price. So that's just where I'm at. Let's continue with this article. But unfortunately, it looks like this article isn't saying that there's any other locations besides Los Angeles. Besides California. So if you live in California, you can take advantage of this if you have EVs that are approved. So it has to be specific EVs from what I read in the not the rental program, in the bonus program. So let's go down. 2 years ago, Lyft made an industry-leading commitment to reach 100% electric vehicles by the end of 2030. So they actually are including more than just electric vehicles, any low emissions energy source. So even if it is, I believe, hydrogen, those would be cars that they'd be considering because they just want to, from their claim, low emissions. We've been working hard with public and private partners to help bring about the systemic changes needed to pave the way for a fully electric future that benefits everyone beyond just rideshare. Now, working with partners, okay, but something that would tell me that they're really trying to push this is if Lyft actually was part of some project to build locations for charging, or had locations for charging at a lower rate. That would make me believe that they're actually trying to build toward this. Today, we're taking another critical step towards achieving our collective climate goals with a new suite of offerings, making it easier, more cost-effective, and more lucrative for drivers on Lyft to transition to EVs. This new EV bundle includes A new earnings incentive. Drivers in California will be able to earn an extra $150 every week by giving 50 rides in their personal EVs until the end of 2024, though drivers will need to register their EV on the platform by the end of 2023. So that's interesting. Understand, if any of you are waiting to get an EV so that you can get the tax incentive, especially if you're waiting for a Tesla to get the tax incentive for next year, you should really consider, if you're going to be driving heavily for driving heavily for Lyft, and I won't be surprised if I see something pop up like this for Uber, you could potentially make $8,100. So if the tax incentive, I'm not sure how much the tax incentive is. I'll probably look it up and post it right here under me. And you can compare. Is it worth waiting for the tax incentive, or is it worth getting this $8,100? Or is there some way that you can do both? Now, I bought my car last month, so I believe I have, and also I didn't buy my car new. So I don't think I get the tax incentive for buying an electric vehicle. I believe that comes into play next year for a vehicle that's registered into next year. So I'm looking forward to getting this $8,100 in order to help pay off the car. So let's see, we'll continue. So 50 rides in their personal EVs until the end of 2024. So every week, I was hoping they would make it where is every time you got 50 rides, but that's okay. They know better, because I think I could complete this 4 times over in a week. So 50 rides in their personal EVs until the end of 2024, though drivers will need to register their EV on the platform by the end of 2023. So understand, if you want to take advantage of this $8,100, which is starting, I guess you would miss this week most likely. You need to register by the end of this, let's see, right? Oh, no, I'm sorry. The drivers will need to register their EVs on the platform by the end of 2023. So you have next year. I was thinking it was saying the end of 2022. I was misreading, thinking by the end of 2023. And then it's saying that this whole program ends the end of 2024. Man, that is longer than I thought. That is incredible. And they can keep earning the bonus week after week until they hit the $8,100, subject to terms and conditions. See incentive details here. So hopefully they won't mess with my strategy to be able to knock out these 50 rides, because I can easily knock out some short rides, maybe in a few hours. I think I could probably knock out the 50. I'd say maybe 2 to 3 hours, somewhere in there. Fast charging discounts. Starting this week, U.S. drivers on Lyft can access charging discounts at EVgo or EVgo. I don't know, EVgo stations when they link their EVgo accounts with Lyft, up to 45% off. I really wonder which one it is. Is it EVgo or EVgo? Standard pay. I'm gonna go with EVgo. Standard pay as you go. Rates for gold and platinum drivers in certain markets. They will be able to link their accounts at any time from the Lyft Rewards page in the driver's app and learn more about the partnership here. If they don't have an account, they can create one for free. So I've been having an issue with this for a while. I didn't like that I had to, basically the only bonuses that I knew of that would give you a break when it came to electric charging came from Uber. Uber already was paying you extra for having EVs. I think $1 extra for every ride, up to $1,000 or $2,000, one of those. And then if you had a hybrid, they were giving you like an extra 40 cents or something like that. Plus, they had some program where they were giving you a discount in charging. So not just a discount in gas, but a discount in charging. It was a little cumbersome to get to, but there was a way. So, yeah, that is a thing. And then they wanted you to use a card, their card, in order to get some more discounts. So yeah, here we can link our account to the EVgo. Now I'm gonna have to see where I can find EVgo stations, and if I can find them at 150 to 250 kilowatt hours. or else it's not worth it. I might as well just go to a Tesla station. What I'm wondering is why, or why they haven't made some kind of deal with Tesla, if Tesla's just not going to make a deal with them because they already made some kind of deal with Hertz and Uber, or what's going on there. Because I'm sure the cars that they're going to end up putting in their fleets are, I mean, there's a lot out there. I mean, it could be Tesla, it could be the Ioniq. I've heard of a few other ones that look pretty good. So I guess we'll see. Stations where, okay, so up to 45%. I mean, getting almost 50% off of charging sounds awesome. I'm already only paying like $10 at the off-peak times to get a charge from 20% to 80%. So paying half of that if I can with the EV Go stations, that sounds pretty cool, especially if it's lower. Ooh. Okay. The link their accounts and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so cash back. Drivers can get between 1 and 7% cash back on public charging with the Lyft Direct debit card. So you might even be able to combine that from what it sounds like. The chargeback amount is based on the driver's Lyft Rewards tier and includes 7% cash back for platinum drivers, 3% for gold drivers, 2% for silver drivers, and 1% for all card holders at charging stations across the US that accepts MasterCard. So I already have the card from Uber, and my funds go onto that card for Uber. I guess I'll have to get the Lyft card, the Lyft Direct debit card, and just so that I can take advantage of the extra 7%. Because if I can do the 7% on top of the 45%, I mean, hey, I'll take it, right? So maybe, I don't think that comes out to 52% because it's not, but we'll see. It could, but I don't think so. Because it'll probably go off, it'll be 7% off of the discounted rate that already has the 45% off, right? So let's say it's $1, so I'm paying 65 cents. So I'm sorry, I'd be paying 55 cents. So on that 55 cents, then I would have a 7% discount from what it sounds like. So let's go to home charging discounts. This doesn't really matter for me, but if you have a home charger and you're in California and you're going to be taking advantage of this program, drivers can get a Lyft specific discount on level 2 L2 home charger hardware with our partner Wallbox and get pre-negotiated rates for L2 residential home charging installation with Coil, helping with a significant barrier in access to affordable home charging. So I'm wondering about that. Like, okay, so how much is it going to be to install their chargers? I haven't really looked into it, how expensive it is to get a charger installed, as well as how expensive is it to get an additional box. So you basically are getting, I would want to get an additional electric panel so I don't interfere with the electricity in my home, and so that I can get 250 kilowatt charging at home. So I'm curious, how much does it cost to get the additional box, and how many people are going to need the additional box, are going to be offered that when they go to get a wall charger installed at home. And I mean, because I think people will quickly realize how that doesn't work, like just using an extension cord and plugging it in from inside. Electrifying our transportation network is a crucial step in helping reverse the negative impacts of climate change. We know many drivers on Lyft want to switch to EVs, which is why we're focused on addressing the biggest barriers they face in transitioning: upfront cost and access to charging. These offerings are the latest in many steps we are taking to support drivers in switching to an EV on Lyft, said Paul Augustine, Lyft's Director of Sustainability. Now, I'm going to say this. Yes, buying an electric car has a few barriers. One, an unreliable charging environment, causing what they call, like battery fatigue or charging fatigue. where you get to the point where you're constantly worried about whether or not you're going to have enough charge to do what it is that you want to do. I've been driving an EV for, I want to say, 3 months. I went back and forth a little bit with a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. Now I have my own Model Y. I drove a Model 3 for a while with Uber, which the Model 3 is really fun. Don't sleep on that car if you see it. It's a really fun car to drive. In fact, from what I hear, the Model 3 is more fun to drive than the Model S. The Model S, of course, is more luxury, super expensive. I almost got one because I wanted to drive Lux on Uber, but that's my story. If you care about that. Ended up going with the Model Y Performance. I will tell you, I made a mistake. I would have, if I could make the choice again, I would wait and I would get a Model Y Black, which I did get black. Get black seats. Now, people love my white interior, right? People love my white interior, but I mean, there's some stains I already can tell that I just can't get out, or I haven't been able to get out yet. And 2, I'm gonna have to get covers for when I can finally use this vehicle for Uber Black. I'm gonna have to get full seat covers just because I don't want to have to replace my seats. But the main mistake that I made is not getting a long range with 7 seats, because then you can take advantage of XL on Lyft. I don't know about Uber, but you can definitely take advantage of it on Lyft. So I'm missing out on potential rides that I could have that are XL or possibly XL Black or XL Lux. You know, so don't make that same mistake. This is something that I can help you understand. It is, if you're trying to make the most with your car, that's going to give you the biggest advantage. You can always lay the seats down and still fit stuff in the back. Unfortunately, the performance, the motors are too big in the back, so there's not enough space to install seats. So I can't even do it after the fact. But you can get 2 additional seats on the long range, and even if you buy the long range without the seats, you can have them installed after the fact. So just something to keep in mind. Let's see. But yes, going off of this paragraph, I got an EV, and what this article isn't telling you is that most EVs put out way more emissions than any gas car will in its lifetime. Okay? So this isn't true. I'll leave it at that. That's not true. Affecting climate change and all that stuff. Whatever. I got an EV because it's less expensive for me to drive. As far as fuel, I knew I was gonna wear out the battery. But from what I can tell with Teslas, there's Teslas that have gone 500,000 miles, and from what I've heard, even Teslas that have gone 1,000,000 miles on the original battery. So that's what made me interested in getting an EV for myself. This one I bought with less than 15,000 miles on it. I'm gonna ride it until the wheels fall off. I'm gonna try to pay it off in a year. I'm starting to get private clients, you know, so my goal is to pay it off in a year, and then get my I already have my LLC, but I want to take the vehicle and put it under my LLC, register it commercially so that I can drive for Uber Black, and then also so I can start applying to different businesses, contracting to businesses as a driver, or potentially, you know, have my fleet working for contracting for different businesses and contracting for government contracts. So that's the big goal. But first, got to pay off this car, $62,000. Oh, well, altogether $70,000 plus the interest every month. So we're gonna be trying to pay on it aggressive every month, and I will try to keep you guys up to date on where I am on my numbers, so you can see as I move forward. So, which is focus trends, upfront costs, and so yeah. Upfront cost is one of the biggest things. Also, I want to mention this. As much as upfront cost is a barrier, so right now cars are starting to drop in price. But even with cars starting to drop down in price, the other thing that's kind of a barrier, or is a barrier, is the fact that interest rates are starting to go up. For me, my interest rate is 4.5. It would have been 5, but because of the relationship with the credit union, they drop it to 4.5. I expect interest rates, I believe interest rates are going to hit 10 to 12% for well-qualified buyers. So the sooner you can buy, the better. The sooner you can get out of older, because every day older cars are dropping in value. I think that people are going to be driving less and asking for rideshare more. That's my personal opinion. And I think even the lower tiers are going to get a lot more rides. So moving forward, as people can't afford cars. So that's my perspective on the market. And, you know, that might be something to seriously consider as far as getting an EV that may cost you less than fuel, especially if all of a sudden fuel prices start spiking again, which I think they will. I'm really surprised that they've dropped. I mean, because it's less than $5 now for premium gas in California, which is shocking. So, but one of the biggest barriers is indeed right here. You know, buying a vehicle up front, and then access to charging. There are a lot of chargers in California, but there's so many different types of chargers and so many different apps that you have to apply for. It's annoying. You know, you don't know what to expect. So for that reason, I would say, yeah, it could be difficult to navigate the charging. For me, with the Tesla, there's chargers almost everywhere. I mainly go to Santa Monica charger, or I'll go to San Fernando. Rarely and almost never I'll go to Burbank, just because their rates are high, unnecessarily so. And then in Los Angeles and whatnot, there's a bunch of different chargers, but some of them are inside of privately owned parking lots, which is annoying to go into. So you really have to determine for yourself if it's worth it to do all that. Let's go on further. In addition to this new suite of offerings, we're also working with our partner to add thousands of new EVs from Hyundai, Kia, Ford, Polestar, and others to our Express Drive. So it sounds like they are purposely not mentioning Tesla. That is interesting. So I'm curious how many of these companies are working with Tesla then, if Hyundai, Kia, Ford, Polestar, and others are working with Lyft. That's really interesting. This provides drivers with a low-cost, low-commitment alternative to purchasing their own EV. Now, this is partially true. Without commitment, you can get into these vehicles. However, on the other side, it is very expensive. Leasing a vehicle is very expensive. Leasing the Tesla cost me no less than $2,100 every month. That's without the charging, and I think that's including the insurance, the extra insurance, so that, you know, if anything happens to the car, they'll take it back and take care of it. Yeah, so that's something that you should really take into consideration. What kind of insurance coverage are they going to give you? Are they going to have an additional insurance package so that it'll cover if your tire gets a nail or something like that? You know, if something does happen to the car, will they give you another one so you can continue working, or are you going to be stuck? You know, these are things that people really deal with when they have accidents, or somebody hits their car and they need to make a claim. Are they stuck not working for days and days and days just because they borrowed this vehicle? Are they going to give you another one so that you can keep working while one's getting worked on? These are serious things that you have to consider. Even if you damage your own car, then maybe it'll give you the opportunity to rent or lease one of the other cars, right? Or maybe you just keep your car at home while you test out, you know, using one of these EVs and get to experience for yourself whether or not you're going to get that battery fatigue, that charge fatigue. Let's see. and we're launching a new educational website for drivers, which will help them understand if switching to an EV is right for them and the benefits of driving those EVs with Lyft. For example, drivers can get up to $7,500 off certain EVs with federal incentives, with many state and local governments offering additional incentives. EV owners can save on fuel and maintenance costs year after year. So, I mean, definitely you can save on fuel costs, especially if you're paying attention to how much you're paying at these chargers. So the way I calculated it out, for my car, I'm spending about 7 cents per mile, and I compared it to a Camry, 47 to 50 miles per gallon, came out to about 17 cents per mile. So I am saving a amazing amount of money per mile. You know, that's just how I calculated it out. I can do a different video where I show that calculation. So EV owners can save on fuel and maintain maintenance costs year after year. So when it comes to maintenance, honestly, I believe like something like this Tesla is gonna stay in good shape unless I destroy it. So if it's gonna stay in good shape unless I destroy it, all I have to do is make sure I don't have any accidents. I have extreme coverage on this vehicle, like everything. So if anything happens to this vehicle, I will be able to replace it. And it will be fully paid off, even if it gets totaled and everything. I have gap insurance, the 9 yards. So if you're gonna buy another vehicle or get something like this where repairs can be extremely expensive, one, you want to make sure you either have a warranty, and then two, you want to make sure that you're maybe some kind of protection plan, and three, your insurance coverage. Make sure your car is completely covered. That's all I can say. Drivers, let's see. So new EVs offer a median driving range of more than 230 miles on a single charge. That's good news for 90% of drivers on Lyft who drive fewer than 230 miles per day. I drive easily over 300 miles per day. I have to go back and charge. So if you drive less miles than that, then this is good for you. And probably in California, you might not experience that same kind of issue, depending on where you are. I live in Los Angeles. I'll take rides that take me back and forth. Honestly, I wish I could get rides that would take me from Los Angeles to San Francisco, but they have the mile limit and all that stuff. So meeting up with people that need those kind of rides is a little few and far between for me. I haven't been able to figure it out, but I would love to take those rides. I like taking long rides. So it just is what it is. And I've had rides where I took like about half that distance and I had to charge multiple times coming back. So we just kept the meter running the entire time I charged. Let's see, EV drivers on Lyft. Okay, so EV drivers on Lyft earn over 40% more in tips per ride according to the data average nationwide. Asterisks. So let's move down to what it says. Tip amount depends on many factors, including where you're driving and the age of your vehicle. This figure is based on nationwide data for 1/1/2022 to 11/28/2022 across all U.S. regions and vehicles. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's true. I don't have the data in front of me. I would argue that it's not true. I think individuals, it's possible. And one reason why I would say it's possible is because your vehicle is a talking point. I get people in my car, even in Lutz and Lutz Black, even some people that own Teslas that start conversations talking about Teslas, how nice my interior is, what package I got. Even actually my last ride, they were looking at, her and her husband were looking at getting a Tesla. She said it's very nice. Asked me how I like driving it, my experiences with it. It's a conversation piece. And usually when you have conversations with your riders, guess what? They tip. Yeah. Having good conversations with your riders, they like to tip. So, something to think about. So let's finish that last. We expect to continue making strategic investments and advocate for smart policies that'll help our drivers transition to and fully electrify our transportation network. Together, we can achieve our collective climate goals and create a cleaner and more sustainable future. Once again, I got an EV because it cost me less money. I didn't get it so I can save the world. I do think we should do the best we can within our environment, but I think there are many things that destroy the environment more so than my car. And I think there's science out there that has proven that multiple times. So it is what it is. Let's see. Looking forward, forward-looking statements. Certain statements contained in this announcement are forward-looking statements with the meaning of the securities laws, including statements above. Lyft's electric vehicle commitments, incentive programs, and other efforts to encourage drivers on Lyft's platform to switch to EVs, Lyft's Express Drive rental program, and Lyft's strategic investments and historical facts involve estimates, assumptions. See, this is important information. People probably wouldn't even pay attention to this paragraph. So let's read this again. Lyft's Express Drive rental. We'll start from Lyft's Electron. So Lyft's electric vehicle commitments, incentive program, and other efforts to encourage drivers on Lyft's platform to switch to EVs. Lyft's Express Drive rental program and Lyft's strategic investments and policy initiatives. Such statements, which are not of historical fact, involve estimates, assumptions, judgments, and uncertainties. This is unproven, unsubstantiated information that is meant to excite you to react, to immediately jump to EVs, because it'll most likely be more beneficial to the business, not to you. So you really need to do your math on how it's going to be when you're trying to charge. Are you driving enough for it to make sense for you to get an electric vehicle? These factors matter for your own life, for your own business. Especially if the rates on Lyft and Uber start to go down or continue going down, and they continue taking things away from you that make it where it's less lucrative or makes less sense to drive for their platforms. But understand that a lot of the information that they say, the sensational information that they say, is unsubstantiated. And what's the word I'm looking for? Sensational. It's meant to excite you. Unsubstantiated and meant to excite you into action. There are a number of factors that could cause actual results of outcomes. Again, there are a number of factors that could cause actual results or outcomes to differ materially from those. So materially, in the real world, okay? Not imaginary and what we think could happen. Materially is in the real world. Your money is real. You spending money on an electric vehicle that you can't afford is real. These are imaginary factors that may not benefit you in any way, shape, or form. Understand that before you make this decision. There are a number of factors that could cause actual results or outcomes to differ materially from those addressed in the forward-looking statements. The forward-looking statements are fiction. They are a possibility out of many possibilities. They are an optimistic possibility. It's like it's pie in the sky dreams. Like, it could be this good, but it could also not be that great. Lyft, perfect example. Think about the bullet train. We all know how great that went, right? Think about the bullet train when you read something like this. Such factors are detailed in Lyft filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Lyft does not undertake an obligation. Again, Lyft does not undertake an obligation. They owe you nothing from these statements. owe you nothing. To update its forward-looking statements to reflect future events. Lyft does not undertake an obligation to update its forward-looking statements to reflect future events, except as required by applicable law. So, unless the law is going to force them to do it, they're going to leave their statements exactly the same, whether they are true or not, or found to be true or not. So that's it for the article. Yeah, that looks like that's it for the article. These are just advertisements, it looks like, for other things. Lyft helping drivers to switch electric vehicles with new suite of partnerships. We just read that. Give your way on Giving Tuesday with roundup and donations. Lyft launches new service for car owners to make maintaining a car as easy as requesting a ride. Find the perfect parking spot in the Lyft app. Stuck in neutral, car maintenance, Lyft motion to launch driverless ride hail service. Interesting. So I might make a video on this. Lyft and Motional to launch driverless ride hail service in Los Angeles. Interesting. That looks like the Ionic, I think. Let's see. Yep, it is the Ionic. I will have to make a video on that. See? Again, you go to an EV, and then they start having self-driving vehicles driving people around. Now you're not making any money with your EV. So that's why it's important to have your own friends and family and clients, that you build your client list on your own, so you don't need services like this. This is some interesting food for thought.